names of the participants and be familiar all one to the other. Then what we will do is we move and we will do a brief of the three virtues combination, which is a part of the study that hasn't been presented to bring in interesting insights for the conversation this afternoon. So we will do a brief explanation. Self-assessment exercise to each of the projects involved in the session. Gathered in the previous part in the explanation of the virtuous combination, and then we will do a recap of the 5 levels through your projects, and finally we will bring some quick wins, some references that may be helpful for you to start to continue working. And it would be good if for starting we all put our names next to the when we present ourselves next to our social enterprise, so we have like the names and the reference. And as you have seen, we have when we have any of us talking or making an intervention, we can also interact using the Google form. And so we are not sure about how good it will work with this strategy, but it can be okay. Okay, so as said before, if everything is okay up to this point, we will start with the 3 presentations. The main graph we will be working on is the one presented in this slide, but please be aware that below it there is a question. So I will do a brief explanation, but the idea is that any of the questions that may raise through the explanation, you write it down so that at the end we comment them all together. Good?
Good, good. Good.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So up to the point, you have like been working individually, and the 5 have allowed you a little bit to structure the mind and to realize how like the different possibilities that exist to expand in the Pentagrowth. And afterwards things explain us a little bit more. What we realize is that if you expand through the 5 levers, through connect, collect, empower, enable, and share, if you expand in all of them, it's very difficult to be sustainable. Because if you expand in all of them, it's very difficult to capture value. Throughout this study, what we realized is that there are 3 models that are quite efficient in terms of capturing this value and making this project sustainable over time. And the 3 structures that we have found out are services, that you will see. It's the violet one in the graph. I cannot point it out here because it's an image, but it's the violet. And then we've got markets, and finally we've got communities. These 3 structures are interesting structures because they will provide us like interesting insights in terms of measuring what do we want to become and if we are really what to expect. It's difficult to, it's important that we are aware that a community has different insights and different priorities than a market, especially at the beginning. So let's go through each one of these models, and afterwards we can open the discussion and do this self-assessment exercise so that we see at what point are we and what do we want to become. Sorry? Everything is fine?
Yeah, please continue.
Yes.
There's this silence. Okay, so let's start first with services. When we talk about services, what we see is that we've got very centralized assets. We've got centralized assets provided by the same enterprise, and that the point of services is to take all these assets, to take these resources and bring them to a large... Someone has got the micro off. Can I turn it because I'm hearing myself and I just concentrate. Yeah? Okay, so the idea is that this they push, let's say, these resources they have, and they try to connect them in as many ways as possible. Let's say, for example, a clear example of that would be Zipcar, or would be Netflix. In the case of Zipcar, what we see is that they've got their own cars that are settled in different points in the city. The idea is that the larger the number of points they can set within the city, the larger the potential amount of interactions they can have with the users, the customers. Be as connected as possible and to be with as many partners as possible. Let's check it out also through the example of Netflix. Netflix generates its own content, so in terms of we see that Netflix doesn't ask its customers to generate their own content, so their users are only not users, and the content that Netflix generates, it's not open, it's totally closed. They open only a little bit so that people get engaged with a TV series or something like this, but it's closed. So what's the strategy in this case? The strategy is to connect as many things as possible, let's say as many screens as possible in this case, and to have as many partners as possible so that they are able to have all the potential screens connected. So if you see, they have closed the collect lever, they have closed the empower lever, they have closed the shared lever, but they are very well connected, and they worked a lot with their different partners to ensure they can be everywhere. So this is how a service behaves, and the goal here is to gather subscriptions. So the subscription methodology is the potential business, or the most clear one that can appear. The retention rate would be like how do you say, the measure, how to measure your success, how to measure your advancing is your retention rate. So how many people you arrive to and how many people get involved with your product. We move to the next one, markets. And in terms of markets, the clear example are what we are talking about are marketplaces. One of our more familiar examples is, for example, Airbnb. What we see in the case of marketplaces is that the inventory is absolutely distributed, so the potential of growth is very high because you don't have to invest these initial resources. And what they do is they don't have users, they have users and producers, and the platform, the marketplace itself, is established to generate trust among the different. Something happened? I know. At the beginning cannot focus on what do they do with the data they generate. They don't focus in connecting in many ways. For example, Airbnb at the beginning was only a website. They didn't focus on moving into the mobile field. So all the forces, all the efforts of the company were focused in generating liquidity in this market, in the number of transactions that could happen. Once the liquidity exists, then you can start moving resources and efforts to other points. But it's important to focus at the beginning in this part of the Pentagrowth. And finally, we've got communities. The most clear example of, the goal of communities is to have a group of people that share a common resource. And this is the typical thing we see, for example, in Facebook groups. No, you open a group, and everyone is engaged, and blah blah, and we add pictures, we add links, and whatever. But there's a problem that is that sustaining this level of contribution among time is not an evident thing, and this is the main problem or the main challenge. Contribution level by participants. This implies providing participants different roles, providing participants different incentives, and especially making sure that participants feel that the resource being shared that belongs to them too. so that it's not only owned by the company, but it belongs to the community. And as long as I am part of this community, I want to contribute and I want to make sure that this moves forward. A clear example of this is for sure Wikipedia, where they have like you see that all the content is open and they gather this content from the commons, but they also work a lot in terms of the roles of, and they focused a lot in having this content. But after a while, and once the critical mass was reached, okay, I'm not sure if this would be like a great overview, and the idea now would be to determine more or less which is your impression in terms of your own project. We discuss together which are the resources and where should we focus, let's say, the efforts at this starting stage. I don't know if there's any question. No? Everything is fine?
I have a question, Gabriela.
Yes.
Gabriela, can you hear me? It's Fiona speaking from Mobilize.
Yes.
So my question is, you say that Airbnb is a market and it focuses on distributed and users, right?
Exactly.
Right, which is similar to the Mobilize model. I would see us in that same space at the moment. But
Exactly.
mobile is really important to us. Without mobile, we can't actually operate. So that goes against your three categories. How do I make that connection? What is that connection?
Yeah, I think that here what you would see, it's like, which is like, it's part of the structure, but it's not the complete one. I think I agree with you. I fully agree with you that mobile is key because geolocalization it's an essential part.
Yeah.
You can take as a reference, for example, I would say Wallapop. Let me write it here. They are also a marketplace. They are a marketplace where let me it's a marketplace of second-hand clothes that exists in Spain. They are like really growing, like they've got exponential, like growing a lot. And the idea here is they are using mobile to avoid, for example, the transportation between people. But the point is that they are like they are mobile, and we must not forget about all the other levers. But the key point for them now is to generate this liquidity in the market. You know, so it's you can either do it through social, through mobile, or through things, but the focus is that you generate transactions and that you are able to respond to these transactions.
So through marketplace first, and mobile is just a.
Exactly. If you say I start in mobile, okay, perfect, do it through mobile, but then once you have decided you are mobile, focus on generating these transactions.
Exactly. I think mobile supports the growth of creating transactions, where you need to be in a marketplace.
Exactly.
Okay, great, thanks.
Exactly. Any other question? Fine. Okay, so if we move forward, I would, if any references come out, I will just write them down here, Ron. So we have this document at the end of the session. Let's leave 2 minutes so that we have this column filled, and then we make the comments. Yeah. Okay. Anyone from Wild Crowd? Ah, here, yes. Okay, are we? So now the idea is each one of you explains in 1 minute or justifies a little bit the response of the marketplace, of the structure you are pointing out, and we add comments and then we comment at the end. Yes?
Yes, okay, then I will start as Babele is the first one. So, and maybe it's also easy because you all know Babele very well. So, we are a marketplace in the sense that we have social entrepreneurs that create their projects and mentors and other entrepreneurs that give feedback. And it's all about getting the feedback, so the liquidity on that side. But we want to switch a little bit, and it's very interesting what you all said, Gabriela. It made me think a little bit more. We want to become more of a service provider, and this for two reasons. One, because through co-creation and partnerships with universities, companies, and incubators, it gets us more entrepreneurs and mentors more easily than by getting them one by on our own. And the second one is because we realized that it's very hard to make social entrepreneurs pay for the service of Babele because they usually don't have money, and it's easier to get universities, companies, and incubators to pay for this service. So it makes us more sustainable from this point of view. But from a service provider, we are not focusing on the mobility. So, for example, for mobile, we consider it would be a nice to have, but in a longer future, not right now.
Okay.
If you have questions, please do ask us.
Okay, so you say, I'm curious I would like to know, you are a marketplace, which would you say it's your exchange?
Yes, I was wondering as well.
So, yeah, okay, I understand what you mean. So the exchange for me, it's not in money, in the sense where we make people meet and give feedback. So from this place, marketplace, and for us, the service, the model, the revenue model right now is indeed a subscription model for universities and incubators, to answer to the question that is here posted. So we have currently 4 paying clients for these services.
Okay. Let me add, I think it's very interesting what you're saying. Transactions, and what you say, it's finally feedback, which is knowledge, and knowledge finally it's the common good shared by all the participants maybe of the platform. So you can either see it as a market, as you are saying, but I would see it as a community. If you are able to feel all the social entrepreneurs engaged and part of this resource, like part owners of this resource.
Yeah, it's very, yeah. So I agree with you, but then again, how do you monetize on a community?
Exactly.
Because I think this is what Gabrielle also mentioned, like the transaction between your members of the community is knowledge. So the question would be, could the knowledge be monetized among the members, the direct members, or should the monetization part be found in the enable lever, just as you mentioned, with university or incubators? That's, yeah.
And for example, I think in this sense, as an example, we see that there's many people who contribute to Wikipedia, and finally we don't contribute because we use it a lot or not. It's because we believe it is a common good, and we believe that the world is better with Wikipedia. the feeling of engagement with a common resource within communities, it's one of the potential sources.
Can you repeat, because I didn't hear everything, it cuts.
The voice is breaking.
Yes, exactly.
What Gabrielle was saying was like people that use Wikipedia see it as a common resource, which makes the world a better place, and they don't. I think they don't need to see it being monetized, because they just see it as a resource that improves the world and makes knowledge more accessible. I guess that's what you're trying to say, Gabriella, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we go back, sorry.
Sorry for that. I completely agree. And if you think about the ultimate vision of Babele would be indeed to have entrepreneurs and mentors contributing for the common good and making more solid strategies of social entrepreneurs so that they can be stronger. So this common good element, it's very important, and it's the basis of the whole vision of Babele. So from this point of view, I completely agree, and Wikipedia was a source of inspiration and is again until now. But then it was very hard for us to find a model to be either become a foundation as Wikipedia and accept donations, but then you need to grow very much in order to have the critical mass to be able to sustain yourself through this. Either the model that we are currently providing with the one of selling it to universities and incubators and all that stuff. But then, like what was Gabriela saying so well when introducing the 5 levers, it's you cannot expand on all of them. So, and for me, it's very hard to realize where we are right now, because okay, so in this case, right now we have features of a market with the transaction being knowledge. And we wanted to go towards service provider, and actually right now we say it's community. So then we develop all the 5 levers and on which one we should focus more. And even Tim said it's enable that is the most important one, so I'm confused from this point of view.
Yeah, I think Fiona did like see clearly the point you are making.
Unfortunately, I don't have solutions, but I see the situation.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I acknowledge the problem as well. I think if you look at the members you already have on your platform, for me personally, the most logical thing to do is find a way how to monetize the knowledge that is being transacted between your members, because you already have them on your platform. So the question you should ask yourself is it possible, would it be accepted if we would introduce a business model charging people for exchanging knowledge on our platform? So for example, I know a platform, I forgot the name at this moment, but what they do, for example, they have heavy experts on a certain topic of knowledge. And you can Skype for about 15 minutes with this expert about about a question you have, and for every minute you Skype, you get charged a small amount of money. So that creates an incentive for the expert, to come back to your platform and keep exchanging knowledge. Because he receives money for it. At the same time, you are able to capture a small fee on the transaction, so you can monetize that knowledge transaction. That's what I'm thinking about at this moment.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for the contribution. We can switch to the next project if you want, and I will answer to Lena.
Yeah, can I present it because I have to go? So
Sure.
quickly. Yeah, I wrote here that we see ourselves as a community right now because first of all we give access to open computer courses to girls or ladies, women that are like available on the internet, so they're common resource. But at the same time we want to use mentors which are more than a distribute asset, yeah, that are sitting all over around the world or the country. It doesn't matter, yeah. But it's definitely the community right now. And the main challenge or the focus is to have enough mentors, because girls can practically go themselves on the internet and learn all the courses. That's not like coding or programming. It's not a problem nowadays, but what we do lack is mentors who can help them. So this is like to have enough of mentors in a particular country, in a particular region, physical or online, that are able or can do that, especially if we start talking about whether this is a paid service or not, because originally we don't want to take money from the girls, at least in the beginning, when they start learning the coding or are interested in going into this IT direction.
Right.
That's the quick summary.
Right.
And as I wrote also in this form, what we are interested about, not just giving the courses or just mentor them, but to find out what is the most important tool we can provide them, because they will spend their time, maybe not money, but time is also money, on learning something. And if they learn something, they need to have something really important, they can take further after they're finished with us into their life or their education or their jobs. So what are these tools that can are really valuable for them? So this is like the question is just not just to spend time with us, but to get something that they really can use in their future lives.
I agree with you that nowadays, like learning how to code, many things that you. I also believe that the main resource, like your key structure, is a community, and I think that there's a lot of value to bring on the offline, as you were events, making you feel involved within a community, because your level of engagement when you are with a group of people, it's much different than when you are by yourself in front of the computer.
Yes.
Hola? Yeah.
I missed some part of
the voice is breaking.
Yeah, it's breaking.
Okay, let me write it down.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Especially for the future references, because you forget things quite quickly. So many things to remember, and then it's like important things just get lost, unfortunately.
Sure.
But in the question of sustainability, again, this is like they were already. Babele also talked about that, and this is when a community, how do you earn on the community in a way, So you need to either close the open source or resource or knowledge, or do something else, So this is also, we're not right there, but I'm thinking about that because like YouTube is now closing, and other guys are also becoming more like, So there is a moment when you start thinking about that, because it should be sustainable in the long run. It can be done for free and open for a while, but it's not gonna help.
We can't hear you.
We don't hear you.
I think we have to redial.
Let's try it out. Let's read out.
Yeah, because in Hangouts, after some time, the quality of voice drops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello.
Are we back? Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I don't know whose voice.
Yeah, there was someone who tried to say something, but they sound quite robotic.
Ankit, was it you? I
Hi,
think it's you.
yeah, hi guys. Sorry, I've been a bit on and off. I have problems of connectivity. So interrupt me whenever you feel that I'm not being audible or my voice is breaking. So yeah, the point I was trying to add, I think we were talking about the sustainability point of view for Girls Code. So one way which I feel in which sustainability can be taken care of is that the girls you mentor or you teach on your platform to code, they can contribute in some way towards some freelance projects. So once you enable them, I mean, once they are good enough to contribute some freelancing projects or to work for established enterprises, you can probably get some kind of fees from them in order to support education of other girls. And so this way you would get a commitment from them, to contribute towards the development of skills of other girls in your group as well. And another thing that you can do is that you can also involve some of the girls who graduate or who take up skills from your program to come back to the community and contribute for free to the community, to the girls in the future.
So, Tim, can you talk again what you were saying before?
Sorry?
Okay, so
Okay. Oh, sorry.
so till where did you listen?
Yes, we hear you.
Yes.
Hello, you can write it down in the form.
So, guys, you did not ask me a question, right? I was wondering.
No, I was asking Ankit, who was in the
Okay.
video before, but I think we lost him.
Yeah.
But I think there are like good insights.
Yeah, that was. Thank you. Yeah, for the start at least. So I have to go in 2 minutes. So yeah, thank you from my side at least. And
There's an interesting question. Lena, maybe you can answer it to us. Is there any value in its setup?
I don't hear. I didn't hear the question.
Is there any value in reaching this niche community? There's a recruitment for companies or targeted advertising?
Yes, I think so. I'm reading this on the document. I'm thinking that it can be an idea, especially in this recruitment for companies, because companies are looking for talent all the time. So, and if we provide this pool in a way, it will be easy for them. So they will be probably interested in paying or hiring the talented or good candidates. Yeah.
Right. Also,
Okay. Thank you from my side then.
you're welcome.
So should we continue with Wild Crowd?
Yes, I can continue. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So as I wrote, we see Wild Crowd as a service provider for animal welfare organizations and environmental organizations, later universities, for citizens projects, or projects in general. In the second phase, because we're going to have 2 phases for our platform building, because this way it's more cost effective. In the second phase, we would like to develop to a whole community for these orgs, where training courses could be shared. And there was a question that I put in the document that I submitted. We are questioning the fact that if we put these training courses under commons license, if this would have a negative impact in our financial revenues, because we were planning some of the training to be for free, okay, but some of the training to be, of course, under price. This is again in the second phase, and it was a question I wanted to make to Gabriela, but I didn't have the time because services and communities are two different, let's say, axes in the picture that we saw earlier. Can they be combined? Can a social enterprise try to develop two different things, services and communities? The service provided would be...
the idea is that it's good to focus all the attention at the beginning. Like,
all the attention to... The voice again is vanished. Connect lever is not very good with Google Hangout.
If you will use free connect levers, this is what will happen.
Let's see. Gabriela is running it down right this moment.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. The point is to start putting all the efforts. Focus on one.
Yeah.
This is, we will begin with the first, yes.
Satinder, वो मालपुर अंदर रख देना.
Okay. A critical mass of users, probably. Exactly. Yes, that's why we have focused.
प्लास्टिक के डब्बे में.
Afterwards, once you are Airbnb,
प्लास्टिक के डब्बे में ढक के.
You can put, like, you can go mobile, you can do whatever.
Yeah.
You're in a different stage. The point is that if at the beginning you want to be everything, generally you end up without being able to move forward. So this guidance must be useful to understand where to put efforts in.
Okay, so the fact that we have decided first to develop in the first phase the service.
And I would like to ask you, what is the I'm
writing now the answer to your question. We are planning to build the crowdfunding platform, and there we will host crowdfunding projects for organizations that deal with animal welfare, wildlife, and environmental issues, and or universities of the similar sector.
Okay.
So this is a service that we are going to provide, but later on we would like all these to form a community that we share.
Can I ask a question? Because for me it's not completely clear. You're trying to connect a crowdfunding platform connects two roles, right?
Build
like,
yes.
It's like the demand and the supply side. So the supply side, the marketplace.
Is it? We are not exactly selling something. We are mediator, let's say,
say,
between
between
the
the
donors or
donors or
volunteers and the organizations. We are just setting a place where they exchange the goods, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But I would agree also with Tim in this point, because finally the projects are uploaded to the platform by by the users themselves. So your inventory is totally distributed, and you cooperate with users as users. So you as a user can take different roles.
So you facilitate a place where transactions can happen, or where people can exchange their roles.
Yes, yes, they will have a lot of roles.
Yeah,
So maybe it's not service. Maybe we could be thinking of a market instead, supported also by a community, but mainly a market.
Okay.
yes, I would call it like that as well. I would call it a marketplace because it has lots of, well, it's typical reference points of a marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And finally, you are talking about a crowdfunding platform.
Yes.
Yes, no? Okay, good.
In the first phase, this is the objective. And then adding on the community development, which will include libraries and training courses for the users.
You already get the community of each of the users when they include to be founded in the platform in a way, no?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, when in crowdfunding platforms,
yep,
when people upload a project or present a project, in a way they also bring their community.
Yes, of course.
So the idea, I guess, is to play with these different
And
roles.
the donors as well can bring their communities, as we will try to give them a chance to build a campaign. The donors build a campaign to support a certain project of an organization. So we plan to have another flow of users from the donors as well.
Okay.
Some of the donors.
Okay, so let's move to the next one. If you mobilize.
Great. I was just unmuting myself. So it was quite interesting to go after Wild Crowd, because I think we have one of the challenges of wanting to be in two places at once. After thinking about it now, the marketplace we just discussed, it's quite obvious. It's, you know, one person is selling potatoes, another person needs potatoes, and we're using mobile to get there. I understand that that's a marketplace. It's a trading of those two values. But also on top of that, the delivery of the potatoes getting picked up from one place and delivered somewhere else, and the coordination of that order with other people who are wanting to buy small amounts so that they can get a better deal, actually is a service.
Okay.
So it's quite interesting to see how we can separate. If we were to concentrate on one, I'm not quite sure how. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on where we should focus, because you need the marketplace, but you need to provide the service to be able to deliver on it.
I think, from my point of view, I think the question you need to ask yourself is, in the core, what's the core business model of Mobilize? If it's a marketplace, you can have features that you can have service features that support the marketplace business model. But if you're a marketplace as a core, I think that helps you focus more on which strategy you should follow in terms of creating the interaction and transactions between the users. And on top of the interaction and transactions between users, you can add features, service features, just like you said earlier, for example, to well, delivery features or stuff like that. Yeah.
Because it's quite interesting. The actual value comes out of being a service. Like the fact that the reason people will use us is because we are sort of we're connecting we're coordinating all the orders, and that is actually a service. We're coordinating a load of orders, and then we're negotiating a great bulk price, and then we are distributing those orders through a delivery system. So it may actually be that we're more of a service provider first.
I think strategy-wise, you should look at it from a different perspective. I mean, you are a platform, and what does that mean? So traditionally, businesses have been pipelines. Okay, you get one thing from one end, and you deliver one thing from the other end. So you go from A to B. The platform model, it's a completely different setup, and as a platform, you will always add some sort of value or some sort of organization to a fragmented market. So in fact, every platform will deliver a service. But what I think is even more important is when you look at the design piece of your business, is to identify which is the basic value unit that you're gonna deliver through the platform. So what is it that you're going to start delivering on? What is a platform going to start delivering on? And on top of that, you start building the nice features that could help providers and suppliers. Let me give you an example with a well-known marketplace. So let's talk about Airbnb, right? So Airbnb, they put together suppliers with consumers of the excess capacity that there is at the moment in a house, right? But then when you analyze Airbnb, their core value, their single value unit at the core when they started designing this was to provide a cheap place to sleep in, which is safe. That was the premise. And they started the design of the business model and the design of the platform, the design of the interaction with that premise. So identifying which is your single core unit value, and then start designing the interactions from there. That is the challenge. Looking at it as a service provider, it's irrelevant because you are a platform, and when you become a platform, you must add value, and that value-adding exercise is a service. So I think it's important just to think strategically when you are going to start designing whatever is it that you design. If you are not clear on the core value unit that will be always at the center of your business, if that's not clear, then it's very difficult to start building on top of that something that makes sense, that keeps delivering on that core value. You know, you can always bring some additives and nice features, UX, whatever, but that core value at the center must be in place.
So the reason that this came about was the value I see is for those independent shop owners who at the moment just cannot, their operational costs are just too high because of the way they're running their businesses. And so they need to plug into an organized system so that they can start getting some economies of scale and reducing their operational costs. So the focus has always been on trying to get those independent entrepreneurs the best deal. the way we're doing
Yes,
that
but
through
there are a few things. There are a few things. So it's important that you separate a few things there, because just from those lines that you just said, there are different inefficiencies within the market that need to be addressed, right? And you as a platform, you are entering a place that is completely fragmented, and what you are basically doing, you're going to put some order into things, right? That's what a platform does.
Yeah.
There is lots of fragmentation. You go there, you put some order, and you monetize on it. That's what you need to do. Okay, now if we go to your specific sample, you will see that you just said, okay, the market is fragmented, but there's also a problem with pricing. Pricing is not transparent. And then you have another issue, which is within the supply chain. You have the issue of bargaining power from the suppliers and from consumers as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you also have quality issues within the supply chain. You have you can expand there into last mile distribution. You know, there are lots of things there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is exactly the issue that every platform will face. I mean, at the beginning, you have all these issues, which is great. You know, there is a challenge there. But what we need to focus is, at the beginning, you need to focus on one core unit of value, you know, and that core unit of value is it going to be for the suppliers of the product or for the buyers of the product? And you should get to a position where you'll say, okay, look, my core unit value at this stage is going to be mapping every producer in this area and helping them being visible to potential consumers, for example. Because that's also an issue. You need visibility, or how are they gonna buy from them, you know? So I would just encourage you to, I don't think it's an exercise of 5 minutes, but it is an important exercise to identify it, and for you to be able to vocalize within a tweet, you know, what is that core unit of value that is going to go through the platform, because that will allow you then, as a CEO and founder, to take the decisions on which aspects of the design are relevant or are irrelevant, and you can then prioritize.
Okay, so it's interesting you said about this tweet thing. Let me show you what I have. Oh, sorry, I'm writing on your words. Right, but this was what I put in for the, you know, for the questionnaire that they gave us before as a tweet. But my focus is really on the end user, on the purchaser.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about the micro entrepreneur that needs the value. And I'm working with farmers, so it's not so much about them needing to be visible, it's about them needing to get their stock out. But for me, like, the way I see it is, it's about getting the best deal for those smaller businesses.
Okay, so you want smaller businesses to rip off the benefits of approaching, let's say, a potato producer directly, and to get a cheaper potato.
Yeah, and then also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So look, I mean, just because I know you have you have some business background and corporate background, I think it's very important that we make this as simple as possible. So we can say that Mobilize, their core unit of value is to get small businesses cheaper prices.
Yeah.
From producers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what you want. Okay.
Yeah.
So so if that's what we want, then okay, we want them to have cheaper. So then you start having immediately when you tell me that, I can see that the platform needs to understand a few things. Needs to understand distance from consumers. Needs to understand, of course, the price. Needs to understand portfolio of products. Blah blah blah. No. And if there are I don't know, bulk deals that let's say I will do some very simple mapping. So if I partner with another buyer that is from around the corner, we can get a much better price. These kind of things, right? But this is part of the design of the platform, because now that you're telling me what I want is for the guy that is operating a small business to get cheaper prices, you see what happens. Then you start thinking on the design of the platform focused on that specific feature, because that is what you want people to say. Okay, they will say, hey dude, go on Mobilize. And what is that? Look, it's just a website where you can get cheaper produce from awesome guys around here. You know, so this is what the power of the marketplace and the power of a platform allows you to do. But why is it so difficult, and what is the challenging thing? The challenging thing is sticking to this core unit of value and understanding, first of all, your task will be to validate if this is something that they really want. Are they willing to pay? Are they willing to use? Blah blah. This is another another part of the journey, right? But as we start with this, definitely now you will have some very specific core that you can then build upon. You know.
Great, thanks. That was very valuable.
Welcome. Gabi, Tim, I don't know if you have anything to add.
I was just typing that I think just to summarize what he said, or what I heard about, is that the service that you provide as a marketplace is to unify farmers to have a better position in buying, in bulk buying. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
And
then you frame it different-wise. You frame it as it's a service you deliver as a marketplace. So if you put it in terms of the core unit of value of your marketplace, places that you unify farmers or people to have a better position in the market.
Exactly.
Yes, but what I think is, look, if we start, for example, with Mobilize, with just saying, okay, what we want is small businesses to buy cheaper. That probably won't be the mission statement. That probably won't be the mode of the company. But it's important for the CEO to fully understand which movement is the first movement they're gonna do on the chessboard, because that is gonna put the first stones on what they're gonna build. And for me, at least, it was not very clear on what was that first step. And it might change, you know. With experience, you might say, okay, look, probably buyers are not as much are not interested only in price, but they want a fast delivery, so they can be they can pay a bit more, but we need to change from cheap to fast. You know, for example, I don't know.
Yeah.
But can I comment on that? Just okay. So I think the most important thing that you need to do then is find out what the basic needs are of your user. So because what you're saying, Jose, is okay. There might be multiple needs that your user has. Which is the need that your user prioritizes the most, and I think that should be the input of your core value of what you're delivering. In my opinion. Yeah.
Of course.
And then around that, those needs, like, okay, we want to have fast delivery or whatever. Those are additional needs that you can create features for that help them filling those needs. Yeah.
Tim is completely right, and I think for everyone, at everyone and every team at the moment, and I know you guys know this, is that at the moment you have a hypothesis.
Right.
And being on that side of the hypothesis, it's important that we all understand that things will change. It's very likely that your hypothesis is wrong, but it's important to take the first step. But Tim is completely right. I mean, at the moment you have a hypothesis, so everything we are talking about here about Pentagrowth and all this, it applies to your company, it applies to your hypothesis, but you can always revisit if that hypothesis change, or you might call it pivot or validation, I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually going to Kenya and Uganda in January. I'll be spending a month there and doing some user research. There's There's a team member I have who was actually at Stanford doing design thinking. So she's actually helping me design a methodology where I'm just going to observe the behavior of everything from the farmers and the supply chain and the entrepreneurs and what the stresses are and the challenges that they have on a daily basis.
Are they from the D school or what?
Are they from what, sorry?
Stanford, the D school.
I think so, yeah. She did it a couple of years ago. She's based back at The Hague now. But she shared with me she translated her paper for me, and we were just, she's given me access to the the open source documents from there. So we definitely are going to test the hypothesis, and we understand that we're at a very early stage. But this is actually born out of me working with an entrepreneur in South Africa who's also part of the team, who was having these challenges. He was facing these challenges daily. So
that's great. That's great. Look, a few words of advice. I've done a few things, and I've interacted with the D school and IDO and all these guys. Just make sure that you are always there. I think it's important that you recognize that some of these design thinking tools are great for a product or a service that is not particularly focused at the BOP level. But what I think is important is that you learn quickly from people in both ends of the platform, and whatever tools you use to do that, that's the fun part of being the CEO. Huh? So I just encourage you to learn as fast as possible with whatever tools you can. Gabi, just keep us on check with the time.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say that. Just adding one comment to the discussion, which was very interesting, is that I feel that some of the services, and this may be a thing to be explored, but they can be also led by users probably. So in terms of delivery, you could leverage on-demand platforms like Uber Rush. I don't know if it's working there. Depending on context, I think some of the services you are pointing out can be also outsourced, let's say, to users. So it's a potential role that can be taken by the people who get involved in the platform.
Yeah, definitely. The way we were looking at it, I don't want to take everyone else's time, but just to give you a quick bit of context, the reference was that if you want to do bulk buying, then you can get a weekly order and you can get it from a further away farmer, cut out the middleman, get a delivery and share the costs between lots of different entrepreneurs. You'll get it at a better price. If you need it urgently, then we will be able to tell you who is the closest producer who can get it for you at a higher price. And then it would be brought to you by an Uber Rush sort of style.
Okay, so this part wouldn't be outsourced. So let's
just
move.
one more point just to add there, the 5-second one. Just remember who is paying. Okay, just keep in mind who will pay you at the end of the day.
It's a transaction fee.
Mm-hmm.
So the way it works is that they're currently paying for the delivery of their products already, but they're paying a high price and they're paying for it on their own. This time it will be split.
Yeah, no, and I don't mean it in the way of who's paying in your platform, but at the end of the day, you have two ends in the platform, right? Or three or whatever. But one is gonna put the credit card in there and is gonna pay, or he's gonna pay cash or whatever. So that guy that is paying is gonna make you, he's gonna let you eat every day. Okay. So make sure you are not building for the guy that is not paying. Okay?
Yeah. I'm building for the customer, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move to Meds for All.
Hi, Anju.
Perfect.
The last discussion on Mobilize has really helped me a lot, because if you see, I had the same question, marketplace and services. So the original idea of Meds for All was to provide medicines to NGOs who in India really lack, the continuous supply of medicines. And at the other end, our basic research has shown that the pharma companies do have some spare medicine which they can give to us, you know. So we are designing a platform where we can meet this demand and supply, and that is why the marketplace comes into place as far as your model or Pentagrowth model is concerned. And while we were doing this research of combining the demand and supply, we also realized that India does have a lack of solid data on health, and we have come out with this data application which will help the NGOs to collect data on the mobile app rather than in the paper and pencil format. So now, right now, although the medicines, what I've learned from the last discussion now mobilize, that medicine distribution still remains our core thing, and NGOs will stay our main customers, like from the last sentence of Joe's, that who will pay, they are the ones who will pay us. And on that, we will be hooking on the Digi Impact, that is the data collection part of the whole project. So in this whole scene, what are your views on where we stand? Do we stand in the markets or do we stand in the service sector? Because the data collection has only come as a secondary thing. That is because we will be relating to the NGOs, and we feel that they don't have this tool, to make solid decisions on health-related matters where they are dealing with the public. So if they have, a comprehensive data tool, where somehow we can help them analyze it, then it will be good and beneficial for the community.
So may I ask how the data collection, how it works exactly?
We are designing an app. It's nearly there in the test phase. And where we will have the basic data collection of what we have for households, etc. And after that, if the NGO wants us to customize for their requirement, we will be able to do that.
Okay,
and they will be they will be paying us for that. Okay, so that is the service we will provide. There will be some basic format like we have for the basic format of data questions which we get on the net, similar to that. But over and above, if they have any specific questions, that we will be customizing at a price.
Right. So the extraction of the data comes from?
The extraction of the data comes from, they will be collecting the data in the field and we will be helping them to analyze it.
Right. So let me get it right. Jose and Gabriela, maybe I interpreted it wrongly, but as I understand, I mean, that's a part of the creation of the inventory and that comes from the commons, right? Gabi, Jose, what are your
Yes, so we're saying that the data collected becomes a common?
It's not a common property. No, it is a property of the NGO.
Right.
Yeah.
But you extract the data from the NGOs and you then resell it, right? That's what you...
in the long run, we want to resell it to the government.
Right.
And the policy makers. But as you say that right now we should focus on what is the core thing we want to do.
Right.
So the core thing of data collection would be that the data would be a property of the NGO.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we are really not clear on the terms and conditions of this, that will they be willing to share the data with us? If they are willing to share the data with us, then it goes into the common area where others can also look at it or buy from us. Yeah.
I fully agree with the first point you've made, which is let's focus all the efforts, at least at the beginning, making sure that the market works, because without this market, I'm sure that you will never access the data. So let's say that the level of dependency, it's quite clear. And so like you can visualize this on the long run, but at the current phase, it makes sense to focus all the efforts on the market. I'd like to ask you this market, it's also run through the mobile app, or like what's the structure you've thought about this market?
No. Now there are two parts. Now this what I'm talking data is what I am putting in the service sector.
Yeah, exactly.
And the market part is the medicine part.
Yeah.
So that is a platform which we are designing, in which the NGO will come to us with their regular demand list, which they have respective communities where they are working. Every month or every 2 months, whatever is the demand list, they will come to us with that. And we will have some suppliers in place, and we will be able to meet that demand list. And at a lower price than what they really get in the market.
Okay.
So that is the main markets platform, which will deal only with medicines. But because we are making personal connections with the NGOs, and as we are entering the field and talking to few of them, we are realizing that their health data or their other data also is in a bit of a mess. Because they're all doing it on paper and pencil, the old traditional ways. So we think that while we are in the market with the supply of the medicines and interacting with the NGOs at a personal level, we can give them this technology where they can collect the data easily.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
A few questions.
Yes, Jules.
Who is your customer?
My customer is the NGO.
What is their benefit of using your platform?
The benefit of using the platform is that once we will ensure them that they will get the supply of the medicines regularly. Otherwise, sometimes they don't have medicines.
Yeah. Okay. So the benefit is NGOs will get medicines.
NGOs will get medicines, regular supply, yes.
Okay, now from the supplier side, what is the benefit of the supplier using your platform?
The supplier, we are looking at it as, we are reducing waste for the pharma companies.
Have you validated
that? Not exactly, but we are talking to a few pharma companies at this stage.
And what did they say?
Some of India's big companies are willing to help us, and also some of the.
But just be careful there. I mean, and I'm just asking questions because I also sit on the investment side of the fund.
Yeah, I agree because this is a little tricky side of the whole thing. We all understand that, all in the team, we understand that handling our supplies is the most tricky part of the whole thing.
But I don't think it's a tricky part. I think the tricky part is the statement, because this is irrelevant of everything else. Is focusing on Pentagrowth, right? But what I just think is important is to understand that if at some point you are saying pharma companies are going to help us, you are not tackling a need. And if you're not tackling a need, a pain point that they have, it's very likely that the platform will not be able to flow in a constant way, that you will be ensuring a supply that is at the same rate of what is needed from an NGO,
and this is the question I have put as my challenge also.
Exactly.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah,
this is a question I've put as my challenge also.
Which I think it comes into place on how do you handle the inventory, right? And that is exactly like I mean, how are we gonna make sure that you have an inventory and a stock that is that matches the need, but also does not create operational issues for pharma companies? you will face things like, okay, we have SKUs, we have regulations that do not allow us to sell expired medicine. I'm pretty sure that your approach, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're going to tell them, okay, guys, I can move still for a fraction of a price medicines that are about to expire, or medicines that you might not be, that you are not moving as well.
That you're moving, yes, correct.
Yeah. So the pain point, and this is where I wanted to get. The pain point you are going to be tackling from a pharma side is the cost of storage, of warehouse. That is if you want to make this a business, okay? If you want to make this an NGO, that's a completely different play. But the pain point from the stock side is going to be the cost of keeping those medicines in a warehouse, or
we understand
throwing
that,
them
yes.
away. Yeah. Okay. Now, in terms of the inventory, how and this is where the inventory leg comes into play. How are you gonna design the platform in such a way that when I, NGO, trigger a need, that need resonates with the pharma, and that they upload into my virtual stock the medicines that I need? You understand what I mean? I mean,
yeah, I understand clearly, and I think in one of the calls I attended, I have, shown my concern for this very thing. That at times when the NGO, see, one pharma company I can't name, which is a very big pharma company in India, has given us a huge list of medicines which they can supply to us and constantly. But I agree with you completely that how do I meet, when an NGO comes with a demand list, how do I completely meet his list?
Okay.
Is a big question mark which we are still discussing.
No, and I think it's a huge question mark that you will have to validate in the market. But with the going back to the previous example, I mean, your core unit of value, what is it that you're gonna move? What is the at the core of Meds for All? If I understand correctly, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that what you want is to provide NGOs with a stable supply of medicines at a low cost.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is what the core value is. So I guess you are expecting the NGOs to pay as well, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I think that what is, and again, relating to this part of Pentagrowth, the inventory side. So if you have a centralized stock, it might be very time consuming for you as a platform,
and costly.
Yeah, and it won't be updated regularly. I mean, it will be impossible to keep track of everything.
Yes.
However, as we visited during Pentagrowth, there are certain levels of openness in the inventory that you need to design, and you need to think with that core unit of value at the center on which features you want to enable. Do you want to allow NGOs to go into the platform and tell you how many medicines they need? Are there going to be any checks? And I mean, just thinking, I mean, I'm not an expert or anything in the field, but what I'm thinking is that if I'm in an NGO and I know that you're selling me cheaper medicines and I need 100 this month, what will stop me from asking you for 150 or 200? I mean, these kind of things that can really create noise within your platform and can pull people or can pull resources to one side because you are selling cheaper in the market. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. How are you gonna also make sure that the medicines are gonna be delivered to what is intended and not resold in the market for a few pennies more because you are selling them so cheap, for example, right? This is the type of design questions that you as a founder need to address. On the other side, okay, let's say, okay, I need 10, or I need 100 boxes of flu pills, right?
Okay.
I tell you, okay, Meds for All, I need 100 boxes of this, and it's important to go granular, you know, to go to the step-by-step thing, so you understand the amount of work and the amount of interactions that will be needed. So I go online, let's say, I log in, I sign in, my NGO, you have my details, I'm legally constituted, whatever, and I tell you I need 100 boxes. That goes up. Then what happens? You know, you have the way I see it, and this is my personal view, is I see it as an inventory that is fed by a bidding process kind of thing. I would see that I put out there that I'm willing to buy 100 boxes of this medicine, and I would have a pool of pharmaceuticals on the other end bidding for that business, right? Rather than because you told me, right, what you want is medicines to be there cheaply and fast, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So if you already put the demand out there, and I'm a pharmaceutical company, and my pain point is stock issues, and I need to get them out of the way as soon as possible, then I can go into the platform and see, okay, there are 100 boxes out there that need to be filled. I'm bidding for those, and then you actually disrupt the way these things work, right? Because usually you go to a shop and you say, okay, how much are these 100 boxes? They are X, and you pay, and you might hassle a bit, but that's it, right? But if you put the demand up front, and if you allow companies to bid for that business, right? Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you here, but we don't want the pharma companies to log in to see our data from the demand.
Okay.
Why?
Why?
The will log in.
But why? I mean, and again.
From the pharma.
Sorry. What the examples I give you is just a brainstorm of ways of dealing with inventory. By no means is.
But I really value the inputs you are giving me, but just to, as far as right now the platform is concerned, we are not letting the pharma companies see our demand list. So
why?
In fact, we will be, like what you said, shopping for the NGO. Rather than the supplier coming directly and looking at what is the demand list on our website.
Okay, but then I think it's important to reevaluate if you are a full, if you are really a platform, because if you are a platform, as a platform, I mean, in the sense of being a platform, the real essence is giving capabilities to both ends, or a marketplace, or however you want to call it. If you are closing one end, which is completely valid, I mean, you are the founder, you know your business, but if you are closing one end and you are and I guess this is just a strategy to capitalize, so they don't jump you, right? They don't go straight into NGOs.
Yeah.
But from my view, in terms of marketplace, I mean,
I can understand, from where you're coming. Please continue.
Why are you worried that they, I mean, if that is the worry, if you're closing one end because they are going to jump you, I think it's important to design so they don't jump you. But I think it's important to just revisit, again, as we said before, what is your core unit of value, and then design around that for such things. I mean, and go to, again, we go, for example, Airbnb. Anyone can jump them. Why don't they? Because they have an insurance. It's that simple. Yeah. Why don't you jump? And why, for example, if you look at Uber, why people do not jump the Uber system? Because it's safe, because it gives you details, because it's it allows you, it gives you so many different things that a lone player will not be able to give you. but of course that is by design. Yeah.
Mm.
So that's just food for thought, and I don't want to overtake the floor. I would like to hear, and I think it would be really good to hear also from Tim and Gabby, but also from the other founders here. I mean, I think you guys have much more experience than me, and I think we would benefit from some of comments, like quick comments.
I've been listening to the discussion, and I'm not sure whether this really relates to the particular discussion that you guys just had, but I was wondering about, and that's in general, about the scalability of the business models of all the ideas, because I think myself, I'm also creating a startup, and the first thing I actually did was checking the scalability of my idea. So creating growth prognosis in an Excel sheet, running different business models, find out which business models are most profitable in terms of 5 years, so I could estimate my growth over a period of 5 years. So that gave me insight, so I could better estimate which business model I should use, what kind of commissions I should charge the user of the platform that I'm creating, and I think this is also well quite important to do when starting up a business, and we did not really we have discussed it already, but I just want to point it out that I think you guys should do that as well, because it's quite essential in terms of the business model that you want to use. So yeah, it's just that's what I want to add to the discussion at this moment. So that's it.
Perfect. I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything to the conversation. From my side, I think that the conversation is being quite interesting, and that the insights are not useful only for one of the projects. This is why we are running out of time, but I think it's worth it. So if anyone wants to add any comment, that would be great. If not, we can move forward, depending on... Yeah?
Comments on the last project that we are discussing, the Meds for All, or for all projects, you mean?
Well, I think Tim has opened now a window that concerns us all, which is scalability. I don't know if anyone has this sense, or if you want to add any comment related to Meds for All.
I would just add, lastly, is that scalability is extremely important, as Tim said. And again, I think a similar situation with everyone is, let's make sure that we all understand that you have hypotheses, and just validate them as quickly as possible.
I think maybe I interrupt now, but I think that's the first thing everyone should do: validate your hypothesis.
Perfect.
Was that useful?
We all have hypotheses. We have made some financial projections, of course, but still they remain hypotheses until the project starts being realized.
Yeah, and it's not only about having. I mean, when I say, let's just make sure that we understand that our hypothesis is to be able to change really quickly, and to be flexible enough to make those tweaks as you go along, which might give you a better traction in the shorter period of time.
Yes, this is very important.
Okay.
We had very few comments for Wild Crowd. Is it anything that anyone would like to add about Wild Crowd? We had
Go for it.
the first comments. I don't know. Do we have everything perfect? Or it's a flop?
No, the good part of this is that it's not good or bad. It's just like exercise, but not the final exam. It will never be the final exam, hopefully. So it's just like working and doing some gymnastics with the models, bringing some new insights and food for thought, so that you consider it in this stage and future stages. So, according to what we had planned, the idea was going to be to go again through all of the 5 levers and a little bit connected to the different projects that are involved. We are a little bit late according to the time, so I'm not sure how much time have you got left. We can either go quickly or leave this part of the exercise here, as long as you have been working on the 5 levers for these last months, and then move to the quick wins. The idea of the quick wins, finally, you will find where they are at the end of the document. It's to provide like certain references, names, projects, any ideas that can help us to connect with all the things that have come out related to the different projects. So, do you...
I didn't get your question. What do you want us to do here?
No, here the idea is to provide references. So, for example, when talking, for example, with Girls Code, I know they are not here now, but let's use them as an example. We know that there are these code.org, Code Academy, etc., that can be a good reference for them. I think we all have, for example, we have talked about WeShare before. I think they can be a good reference as long as they are able to build a community using very simple resources like Facebook groups, but then to mobilize all this effort through events, so offline experiences. So the idea is just to work a little bit in terms of potential examples or potential levers that exist in the environment and provide resources to our colleagues. Is it more clear?
Yep.
Yes, I've got a few prepared. I don't know if anyone wants to let me.
Can I write there? And
Yes.
I moved you. um,
I think. And it would be cool if we kind of add a small comment so that once they know they are here. Okay. Let's leave 1 minute more, and then we discuss and we make the conclusion. But we will always have this document open so that we can continue bringing other examples. So, more or less done.
Trying to come up with an example for Mobilize, but I forgot about the name of the startup. So stupid. I can edit later, right?
Yes, I think, well, the idea would be a little bit to present some of the things we have put, each one of us, so we can do a quick round, not per projects, but as individuals in this case, point out what things we have suggested, and afterwards we can just make the conclusion, if you all agree, and discuss which are like the next steps and how has it been all the program itself. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm.
I have proposed for Babele to check out Wave or GitHub, which I think are very interesting communities, apart from the common one.
Yeah, so GitHub is actually exactly the model that we are using right now. So the business model is we provide open communities that are for free and private or hybrid communities that are paying. So it's exactly the same idea of GitHub.
Okay, but
and Prezi.
In GitHub, they work on problems. So each community is a problem, and someone finds a solution. And here, what I have seen.
Sorry, there is really bad ambience noise. Can we go on mute, please?
1 minute, yes. Now. So I think there's like a good reflection to be done here in terms of which is the common resource shared in Babele, which for sure is knowledge, but finally this knowledge is set up through different business models, so it's less intuitive to find the common good, but I think it's an interesting thing. Also Wave, because of their gaming strategy and how successful they have been to get people engaged, I think they are good. More of the same. Then I have added to Wildcrowd, I have added Goteo and Kickstarter. I think they are two familiar platforms for everyone, but I think they can be really interesting for you.
Gabi, can I just add something on Babele before we move away?
Yes, please.
Sorry. And just for Babel, I think as we discussed before with you, I just revisit OpenIDO and the lessons learned there. What I've been using the platform, of course, a bit, being not, I haven't been using it as much as others here, But one thing that I would say that it's important to revisit is from the contributor side, from us, the ones that are adding to the projects there. I feel that there must be something else that pushes you to engage. I don't know what that is, but I just think that an email that reminds you that there is a conversation going on around the topic is just probably not enough, especially if you are trying to get high caliber mentors into the platform, and that's just a point of view, and if I may.
Yes, thank you very much, Jose, on this. Actually, we are thinking about gamifying Babele, but it's just we take it small steps because it's so hard to manage online platforms.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the things that would stimulate more contributors. So we are thinking about this, and it's on the to-do list. But right now we are still fixing bugs and things like that.
Cool.
So then, continuing.
I have also added for Babel a link that we have also discussed in our weekly hangouts in case they wish to continue to offer their services free and they need revenue. We have also discussed the potential of funding opportunities from Erasmus Plus, which is a European funding program for creating learning content. So they can be paid for creating this learning content. They can have their revenues and either decide to provide the learning content free or for a small fee. If they need more information, I can help them with this.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Yes, I remember very well our discussion, and we should follow up on this.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know if anyone wants to add any other comment.
Yeah, for Babella, I added Lazus. Lazus, I think it's might be interesting because we discussed the business model and possibilities of monetization of the knowledge and whether or not it fits the it fits the values of Babele. I think Lazus might be interesting because they have a business model which is actually, I think, based on reciprocity, and might be interesting to find out how they monetize their business. Maybe Gabi, you know a bit more about it, but it's a very interesting organization. Yes.
Thank you, Tim. I don't know much about their business model. I know about the technology they're using, which is what we have made a bit of research on.
Right.
But we can check it.
Yeah, because eventually at the end of the day they need to pay their checks as well. So one way or the other, they have a monetization strategy. So.
Good. Then, in terms of Wildcraft, my contributions were Goteva and Kickstarter. Then there's Kiva too.
Right.
I don't know if anyone wants to add any comment.
Yeah, Kiva is also included in the Pentagrowth research. I think they focused in the beginning on creating liquidity as well, and what they did, I'm not sure whether they are a for-profit company, but they connect micro entrepreneurs in third world countries with people from Europe and America to lend money. So that might be interesting as well to check it out if you're considering a crowdfunding platform.
Yes, Kiva was in our social entrepreneurship course.
All right.
Was set as an example, and we had 1 week studying it.
Ah, nice. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so now in terms of Mobilize, I have shared, I think it may be interesting, it's a website where you find apps for citizens. It gathers like feedback about different types of apps done like worldwide, which empower citizens. I think it's very interesting. You can find many different apps, the reviews, and you can. I think it can be useful for you to download to check. Probably with this study in terms of usability, it will make sense to check what others have done. So it's a good direction.
Thanks.
Then Wallapop is the one we talked about at the beginning, which is this one that it's Wallapop. This one, which is a geolocalized market of second-hand stuff in general. It's really working in Spain, and I think it's very interesting to understand they got geolocalization because they have been very successful in generating transactions. Their business model is not yet clear, but they are, let's say, in terms of liquidity, which is what we were talking about in the beginning, when describing the market model, they have been really good.
Okay.
And then I'm not sure who has posted the two others.
I wrote the Grub Market. It's similar to what you're, well, just check it out. They got some traction this year. And yeah, I wrote their mentor from there, especially I think all of the companies here, it's important that you get a good mentor. What is a good mentor? Is someone that is not only the person that likes the idea, but is willing to put some money down and that can help you build it. If I were you, I would check who invested in them, and I would at least have a call.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I will add the startup name later. I forgot the name of the company, but I met the CEO about 3 months ago, and what he said was, well, the core business of their business was as well, they enabled farmers to sell collectively their fruits or their vegetables against a more profitable price. So it might be interesting to study this. To study this example. But I will add this company later.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so I have another example that I have just added it because I have the an entrepreneur right behind, like close to me that is going to work for them. Let me give you 1 second to give you the final link. So these guys are a project from Italy, and it's about connecting directly producers with consumers and giving more information on the exact products and where they come from. And it's a mobile app as well, so it might be interesting to get more information on them. And yeah, they are really working. So I have a very good friend that is going to work for them, so I can provide you more information on them.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Cool.
So if we move forward to Meds for All.
Yes,
okay.
I'm here.
Yeah, so the first one I put in there is Joko Santé, who are based in Senegal. I just read up about these guys. They won some awards, and when I read about them the first time, I published it on the Babele platform for you guys. But it was just interesting that they kind of brand themselves as a community system that enables to store, share, and finance medicines. And they had an interesting line for themselves. They described themselves as a virtual sharing pharmacy. So they seem to have gone more with a community sort of angle. And they actually give medicine away for free, from what I understand. So I'm not sure of their strategy exactly, but it might be worth exploring them.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Thanks for this input, yeah.
Cool.
The other two actually I have put, thinking that I have to write what we have been inspired from. So this Dhwani RIS is somebody who's working in the data app field.
Okay.
And in India, so they are in the same field as where we are trying to enter.
Okay.
It's important for all of you guys, and I think for Meds for All and Mobilize in particular. No, well, actually for all of you, is to try to look at gigs or plays that have been deployed, but not in your industry. So immediately it comes to mind, and I'm sure Gabby and Tim, you will remember the names of the startups, but Meds for All, it's providing, is generating value from something that's going to be wasted. And immediately that rings a bell with food, right? Food chains. I would even, I mean, look, just think, I mean, things that will go to waste that I want to just get out of the warehouse soon. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are plays out there around digital assets, IT, hardware, tablets, mobile phones that are just not good anymore. If you in India, I'm pretty sure you have look at analog technology. How are they moving it as it becomes less and less valuable? Someone is extracting value from there. Probably not within a platform, but just get out of the medicines, look somewhere else. And I'm pretty sure that there are going to be some interesting examples. I don't know, Tim, Gabby, do you remember those guys that were collecting food from supermarkets and making meals and selling them?
Yeah.
Disco soup.
Such models.
Yeah.
But I also know, and I'm going to search for the name exactly. There is a mobile app called Zero Waste in France that connects supermarkets with with products that are going to be to expire soon with users and consumers. And I think that I'm going to check it and write it. But I think it's super smart, Jose, as a question.
If I can also add here, in Greece, because of the financial crisis we have, now they collect medicines, and there are 2 or 3 NGOs. One is owned by the church that collects medicines, but not from the companies. One of them collects them directly from people. They have a partnership with a TV channel and municipalities, and they announce publicly one day in one municipality where people that live in this municipality and have in their homes medicines that are not expired, but they haven't consumed all of it, or maybe have not used it at all, and they donate them to this NGO. And there is another NGO that collects medicines, again, not from companies, but from pharmacies. And again, people can go to the pharmacy, to the drugstore, and give their not expired pharmacy. So maybe you would like to rethink the providers, and maybe you wouldn't you should target on people.
Yeah, but I think
drugstores.
somewhere the laws in India restrict us to do this.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, so we have done this base study, and this is not allowed in India. So
Here
we
in
don't
Greece,
want, because this website which I have put, Serum, this also works on donated medicine by people, unused medicine,
okay,
which is unexpired, but in India it is not allowed. So we really can't go that way.
okay.
Yeah,
So
we have
it's
thought of
best
it,
to
yeah, and
I didn't
but it
put
will
the.
not work there.
Okay, sorry.
And but I mean it's a very valid point. For you guys, Meds for All, hearing the feedback and all that, just I would just say you really need to evaluate if you are actually a platform or if you are just a one-ended pipeline, because it's a different play, and you don't want to begin as a platform and not being a platform really, because it's just gonna be a waste of work and rework and rework and rework. If you're not opening for an aggregation of suppliers or giving visibility or some of that, then just sell them online and create a community that will buy you. Before and on the same point, one of the things that I believe is a quick win for everyone within the call, probably Babele already has one, but for all of the others, is that you will quickly figure out that you have a chicken and egg problem, right?
Yeah.
You will have you need customers, then you need suppliers, but how do you build them at the same pace, right? And how do you start growing, and how do you start having transactions within? So a quick win is that you start identifying in your country which digital mean would allow you to aggregate a community of buyers, that or how do you get the data, how do you start building that community? For example, at the moment I'm working in Latin America, and here Facebook is extremely prevalent. So a community has to be built on Facebook if you are targeting end consumers, right? A community on LinkedIn is relevant if you're targeting companies or whatever. So in order to tackle the chicken and egg problem, you need to focus at a very early stage on create a community that then you can plug in to the few suppliers that you start pulling. It's very different to go to a supplier or someone that wants to crowdfund a project, or someone that is selling potatoes, when you tell him, look, I have 10,000 people, members of my community, that are interested in these kind of things and are just looking for suppliers like you, right? Very different. So just, I don't think it's a quick win, but it's a win that you must start working on.
It's an essential win.
Yeah, it's not quick, but it's a must.
Finally, moving to the last one, to Girls Code.
I've wrote Code Academy.
They are not here, but let's...
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, they left already in the beginning, right?
Can I just check how long will we go? Because for me it's past midnight now.
Well, first of all, thank you all, and if you have any comments to let us know within this 2-hour experience workshop of working together. So maybe you can start, Anju, first.
Yeah, I didn't get you. Your voice is breaking.
I think it's just let's just wrap it up. I mean, if you can just give us a 1 minute, well, with 30 seconds close, and just to hear like if this was a valuable exercise, what did you learn? And
oh yes, definitely.
and if it's something that and most importantly, which feedback would you give Babele, which were the ones that we partnered with and we deliver this through their platform?
Yeah, so from my side, I think it has been a huge learning exercise to work with on this Pentagrowth project, because it has really given us some food for thought, and especially today with all what you have pointed out, that the supply issues, and we have discussed this in the past, but now coming from the third party, it makes it all the more relevant. So yes, today's meeting has been quite fruitful and a learning experience for us, and I will go back to the team with some positive takings from here, and hopefully we will work around it and try to focus on our core values and test the hypothesis. And Babele has been a great experience for the whole team, because that had given us a lot of a smooth platform to work while we were doing the CBS course, and from a lot of projects happening there, from which we also learned by interacting, and I think that is the main purpose of Babele, that we can learn from each other. So yeah, for us it has been a very positive experience.
And I just one last question, which is a yes/no kind of question, is that did Pentagrowth achieved its goal of changing the mindset you had when you came?
To some extent, yes. As I just said, Pentagrowth has given some food for thought, and like you just pointed out, that the platform won't be a platform if I don't put the supplier up there. So yeah, it will give us, it has given us some new insight into how we have to work. So I won't say that I haven't learned from Pentagrowth.
Good, good. Okay, thank you. Who's next? Fiona?
Right. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Okay, I suppose I can put my camera on as well so you can see me for the feedback. So yeah, I just want to say thanks a lot for the time and effort you guys have put into this. It's been really interesting to explore our business model according to your model and your levers. Speaking with the team, it's been interesting because even though we have most of those elements were in our model, we didn't really recognize them as growth levers. We didn't really look at them as things that could adjust. We just saw them as elements that were in our business plan, for example. So understanding that some of them are more relevant than others, and that we dial up and dial down, and that it will probably change as we start to go into market and realize that our actual offering needs to be tweaked as well. I think so will some of the levers. So it has been really interesting. I don't know. I think the value is going to come afterwards, actually, when we start putting this into practice. So it has made us think about things differently, but until we actually start doing things, we now know what elements to be looking at to tweak when we're not getting the results that we want, and we might be able to identify that we're trying to do a marketplace and a service at the same time, for example. So it has been interesting. I think it's been, looking at Babele, it's great to see how Babele has grown since we've started using them. The old platform changing into the new one has seen obviously a lot of user feedback has been given, and they've taken it on board and really moved forward. And so I feel for you that you still have lots of bugs and that you're feeling the frustrations of trying to fix things, but it is appreciated because it's definitely improving and you're moving in the right direction. So thank you, guys. I think it would be great if there was a way to integrate some kind of either video element to it or just some kind of interaction. So we ended up doing these Google Hangout sessions every week off the platform. And I think if you could include them on the platform and you could do mentors that could have the conversations in those platforms, as opposed to like at the moment it's quite a broken experience of like someone posts something and then someone posts back. But if there was a way to have a chat that was more dynamic in that space, and even if you could eventually do seminars or something where you could get people who all have the same issue, you could do a poll like who wants to know about crowdfunding, and then you'd get all of those people together to listen to an expert on your platform, that might spark more conversation and interaction between other people on the platform. Because I didn't really interact with anyone who wasn't interacting either in my particular community, as in Pentagrowth, or on my business plan. So just trying to figure out how to harness and stimulate the conversation between all of those other brains that are on the platform could be interesting.
Thank you so much, Fiona, for your feedback.
Pleasure. Good luck. Carry on.
Good.
Can I speak next because I have to leave for my job?
Yes,
Unfortunately. As I have already wrote in the document that I submitted, the Pentagrowth gave us the chance to put things that we had scattered in our mind in place. The way, like science, organizes and put things in place. You know, how it is when, for example, you set up a business without having studied business administration, and then when you watch or you attend the lesson, then things are put in place. So we had witnessed all these things that made the different websites successful, but we had not an organized scientific way to read them and study them, and this way be able to implement them. Of course, when you read them, the first thing that comes easy is to replicate them. But the best benefit that can be gained would be if we could generate an idea that our own social business could be an example in your next study. But generating ideas is not very easy. It needs a lot of time. So we need some time so we absorb all this information and think and check if there is by any chance any way of generating something new that we can be added as an example in your next study. And for Babel, we have also discussed it during our weekly sessions, and we have discussed the potential that they have to become a training center as well, because building a business plan is a cornerstone when you want to set up a business. So if they could incorporate some training sessions for the novices or for the more experienced, that would be the mentoring, the valuable mentoring for all enterprises, social enterprises, and that would be an asset, I believe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I would just like to add something there that you might see as a weakness, and I disagree. I see it as an advantage. I think that for startups, having gone through business school blocks your mind in ways that just make it more difficult. I think that what you will find is that idea, that creativity, that iteration of whatever it is that you're doing is gonna come as you keep moving on and from experience. And at this stage, you are not a business. We are all startups, and your job is to quickly find a way to make money so you can eat. That's the first point there, and don't worry about business technicalities. I think you'll surprise yourself. Just keep pushing.
I push. Desperately push.
Good. Well, thank you.
Thank you, but I have to leave. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I'm very late to my job. It was really nice discussing with you. I hope
Okay.
that we will do it again. That
Yes.
was really very good. Thank you all.
Ευχαριστώ.
Παρακαλώ.
Έλα.
Gracias.
Να.
Bye.
Kalinishta. Okay, so thank you very much. So for us, for Babele, it has been really very useful. I am a big fan of the Pentagrowth model, and this is why I was so excited to have the program within the Babele platform. And for us, it's really a great tool to prioritize the direction in which on which we should focus, because as an entrepreneur you have so many things that you need to do and you need to prioritize them, and what is the one focus that you need to have at the very moment, and otherwise you're getting lost in too many things and everybody's yeah, we have a challenge on the business model side, and I think these forms of rapid growth through thinking either in terms of marketplace, service provider, and community is very useful, because you cannot develop everything. And we are still figuring it out, and it's interesting to see, because we are as a platform already since 2 years, and I don't know if we weren't fast enough as a startup to validate stuff, or it's just that it's a longer process sometimes. But yeah, it's very useful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any final words, Tim, Gabby?
Oh, guys, I just want to thank you for attending today. I think it was a great session. For me personally, it was very interesting to attend it, because it's the first online workshop. So no, I liked it very much, and hope you guys have well, can grasp the potential of it. Yeah.
Yes, me too. I would just like to thank you for everyone for your time, for your effort. I think that the conversation was very insightful, and it's true, it was our first online workshop, hopefully not the last one, and it's a starting point for learning. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pentagrowth team, for all your ideas.
Thank you, and from my end, I would just like to first tell you that from the Ideas for Change team, it's always a pleasure to work with people that are following the path that is not easy, and that's the entrepreneurship path. Thank you guys from Babele. I think it's been an experience for all of us. We would really like to keep collaborating. Perhaps we can speak later about integrating ourselves to one of the university courses or whatever. That will take offline. But most importantly, I would like to give, and for all of us to give a huge thanks to Tim, and especially to Gabby, because all the value that you guys are taking from here, all the everything is all because of that lady. She's amazing. So I would just ask for a virtual clap. Thank you, Gabby, very much. You're awesome.
Thank you, Gabby.
Thanks, Gabby.
And well, guys, I think I'll let Gabby to close this one off. It's your first virtual baby. So, so thank you, guys, and it was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
We stay in touch then. Thanks a lot to everyone.
See you guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Gabby.